You buy a robotic vacuum so you don't have to sweep. You order your groceries from an app while sitting on the couch. You throw your dirty clothes into a machine, press a button, and, well, you just walk away.
Right, it's all automated.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So if you look at the math, you should easily have, like, 3 or 4 extra hours of free time today compared to someone living 50 years ago.
You really should.
But you don't. So why do you feel more exhausted, more rushed, and more behind schedule than your grandparents ever did? Welcome to the English Boost podcast. We've got a fascinating transcript to analyze today.
We really do, and our mission for this session is twofold.
Right. First, we're going to break down why all this incredible time-saving technology is leaving you feeling completely drained.
Right.
And, figure out how you can actually reclaim your internal energy.
Because that is the real struggle. And second, since this is the English Boost podcast, we're going to master some advanced, highly descriptive English vocabulary along the way.
Not by reading from a dictionary, though.
No, definitely not. We're going to see how these words perfectly capture the modern struggles you face every single day.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our source material points out that we have instant payments, calendar notifications that remember our entire lives for us, and endless software promising to speed up our workflow.
Yeah, the conveniences are everywhere.
But older generations who did almost everything manually, washing dishes by hand, walking to the bank, physically mailing letters, they seem to have so much more breathing room.
They had actual hobbies. They sat on the porch.
Right. They had long, uninterrupted conversations. If our daily lives are physically so much easier, why does it feel like you never, ever have a moment to just breathe?
Well, the answer requires looking at what actually replaced that physical labor. The modern world hasn't necessarily made us physically overworked.
No, we're sitting down a lot more.
Exactly. It's created an epidemic of what the source calls mental crowding. We essentially traded physical fatigue for cognitive overload.
Wow, mental crowding. That captures the sensation perfectly.
Yeah, because 50 years ago when you were chopping wood or washing dishes by hand, your body was working, but your mind actually had space to wander.
Oh, I see. And today?
Today, your body is sitting perfectly still in a comfortable ergonomic chair, but your mind is sprinting on a treadmill at maximum speed.
It's not the heavy lifting that wears you out. It's having 75 browser tabs open in your brain at the exact same time.
Precisely. Think about the sheer volume of useless input and the constant stream of microscopic demands pulling at your attention.
It never stops.
You wake up, you read a distressing news headline, you reply to a work email, you get a notification that a package was delivered.
Someone texts you a meme you have to react to.
Right. And you have to remember 3 random software updates. Before 9 a.m., your brain is sitting in a chaotic, high-stakes meeting that it never even asked to attend.
Every single one of those inputs requires a tiny bit of cognitive processing power. It makes me think of a specific analogy.
Oh, I like analogies. What is it?
The modern mind feels exactly like a living room right after a massive children's birthday party.
Oh, wow. That is a terrifying image.
Right. It's incredibly loud. The floors are mysteriously sticky. There's torn wrapping paper everywhere, and you're just standing there, completely overwhelmed, staring at the mess before you even pick up a trash bag.
What's fascinating here is that we treat our attention like a public park where anyone can walk in and leave their trash.
Yes, when it really should be an exclusive, highly secure fortress.
Exactly. Not everything that enters your mind deserves to live there. Some information genuinely informs you, but the vast majority of it just crowds you, taking up valuable space.
And instead of guarding that space, people often just carelessly squander their peace on tiny random distractions. Which brings up our first vocabulary word.
Oh, squander. That is the perfect word for this behavior.
Yeah. When you squander something, you aren't just losing it. You're throwing away something incredibly valuable with zero thought or care.
And people rarely squander their time in huge, dramatic chunks.
Right, you don't usually sit in a chair staring blankly at a wall for 4 hours.
No. Instead, you squander your mental clarity little by little. You're waiting in line for coffee, so you pull out your phone for a 2-minute scroll.
10 minutes later, you're at a red light, so you check your email.
And each tiny check feels completely harmless in the moment. But collectively, you are squandering your attention span.
You're fragmenting your focus and inviting more of that sticky birthday party mess into your head.
That's exactly it.
So if our brains are like these messy, crowded party rooms filled with fragmented thoughts, the natural question is, how do we clean them up?
Right. The big fix.
And I want to push back on the conventional wisdom here. Every productivity guru, every CEO on social media, they all tell you the ultimate secret to fixing your life is your morning routine.
Oh, the legendary 5 a.m. morning routine.
Yeah. They say you have to wake up at 5 a.m., drink hot lemon water, take an ice bath, and write in a gratitude journal.
It sounds exhausting just talking about it.
But if you end your night with just one more scroll on your phone, one more intense true crime episode, or a late-night argument in a comment section, doesn't that render the 5 a.m. ice bath completely useless?
It absolutely does. And the source material firmly supports your skepticism there. We place an enormous, unfair burden on our mornings.
We really do.
A bad morning is almost always just the collateral damage from the night before showing up to collect its debts.
Wow. The damage is already done before the alarm clock even has a chance to ring.
Exactly. Think about the mechanics of sleep. The body goes to bed because it's physically tired.
Right.
But if you've been feeding your brain a chaotic stream of high dopamine information right up until the moment your eyes close, the mind stays wide open.
It never actually lands.
No, it hovers. It hovers in this state of high alert, processing phantom threats and useless data all night.
So what people actually need isn't a harsher, earlier morning routine?
Not at all. They need a gentler ending to the day. Tomorrow actually starts tonight. You have to actively initiate a shutdown sequence before you sleep.
Which brings up a great vocabulary word that describes what happens when we skip that shutdown sequence.
Oh, yes. Drift.
Yeah, drift. When you're tired and overwhelmed at 11 p.m., you don't actively choose your actions anymore. Your mind just drifts.
And drifting is the exact opposite of steering. Like a boat out on the water with no motor and no sail, you aren't controlling the destination.
The current is just pulling you along.
Exactly. You don't actively decide to watch 6 consecutive videos about street food in a country you've never visited.
No, your exhausted mind just drifts from one algorithmically recommended thumbnail to the next.
There's no intention, and by allowing your brain to drift through all that noise late at night, you're guaranteeing that you'll wake up into a state of mental crowding.
And let's take that a step further. Let's say you do manage to avoid the late night drift.
Okay, you read a book, you go to sleep peacefully, and you get 8 hours of rest.
Right. The next day's energy can still be instantly derailed by something incredibly small.
Yes, the source text spends a lot of time analyzing the tyranny of the tiny, unfinished task.
Oh, this is the worst. I think every single person listening right now has a tiny, unfinished task haunting them.
Absolutely. The psychological reality is that the biggest stress of your day is rarely a massive, cinematic, world-ending crisis.
Right. It's usually like 5 tiny administrative loops that you've left open.
Exactly. It's a dentist appointment you need to reschedule. It's a quick payment you need to send to a friend.
Or a short customs form you need to fill out for a package. Small tasks, but they have terrifyingly huge personalities.
That's because they trigger something called the Zeigarnik effect.
Oh, what is that?
In psychology, this is the principle that uncompleted or interrupted tasks take up significantly more cognitive space in your brain than completed ones.
Your brain views them as active threats.
Yes. Which brings us to the danger of choosing to let something slide.
Another great phrase. When you let something slide, you're intentionally ignoring a responsibility. You're saying, it's fine, I'll deal with it later.
And you just let the deadline or the expectations slip past you.
Right. In the immediate moment, letting it slide feels fantastic. It's a real rush of relief.
You think, I don't have to do that right now.
But tomorrow turns into 3 days, and 3 days turns into 2 weeks.
And suddenly that tiny task is acting like a background app on your phone. It's constantly refreshing, draining your battery, and generating a low-level mental noise that follows you into every room.
The source text has this wonderfully relatable example about delaying a simple 4-minute email.
Oh, I love this example.
It's just a few sentences. Hi, here's the document you asked for, thanks. But because the person let it slide for days, the guilt and the dread started compounding.
It builds and builds.
Eventually, sitting down to write that simple 4-minute email felt like they were writing a formal apology letter to a king. Why do tiny tasks become so royal and intimidating in our minds?
Because you aren't just reacting to the task anymore. You're reacting to the shame of having procrastinated on the task.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
The task itself remains a 4-minute job, but your mind keeps carrying the weight of it every single day. And the longer you carry a small weight, the heavier it feels.
Yeah, hold a glass of water for a minute, it's nothing. Hold it for a day, your arm is paralyzed.
Exactly. The only way to stop carrying that crushing psychological weight is to close the loop quickly. True peace of mind rarely comes from a luxury yoga retreat.
It usually comes from just paying the parking ticket or sending the email so it stops stalking you.
Absolutely.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Leaving these tiny loops open doesn't just eat up minutes on your clock. It actively drains your internal battery.
Yes.
And this brings us to the most vital revelation in today's analysis, the massive difference between time and energy.
This is the critical distinction that almost all modern productivity advice completely ignores. We treat time as an absolute mathematical unit.
Right, minutes and hours.
But human beings don't run on clock time. We run on physiological energy.
The text points out something so incredibly striking about modern culture. People today treat nonstop effort as proof that they are doing life correctly.
We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor.
Yes. If you're stressed and busy, it means you're a serious, important person. But this leads to a bizarre, incredibly common symptom of burnout.
Oh, the dinner question.
Yes. Imagine you've been working nonstop, juggling all these open loops, and your partner or your friend asks you a beautifully simple, caring question. What do you want for dinner tonight?
And your brain just crashes like an overheated computer.
Worse than crashing.
Yeah.
Your exhausted brain perceives this completely innocent question as highly offensive.
It really does.
It feels like an impossible, aggressive demand. Your internal monologue screams, "How dare you ask me to make another decision today? I've made 100 decisions. I can't possibly choose between tacos and pizza."
It's funny, but it's a deeply real biological response. You are experiencing severe decision fatigue.
It's physical.
Yes. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for choices, is literally depleted of glucose. And this perfectly illustrates a core concept from the source, the difference between free time and usable time.
Usable time. I love that distinction.
Having one free hour on your calendar at 6 p.m. is completely useless if you are too drained to think, to focus, or to feel joy during that hour.
You cannot build a meaningful evening on borrowed energy.
Right. If your internal battery is at 1%, that free hour isn't actually free time. It's just recovery time.
It's time spent staring blankly at a wall or a screen, trying to gather enough strength to brush your teeth.
And this is exactly what happens when you completely wear yourself out.
Another great vocabulary phrase. To wear yourself out is to push your mind and body so hard through so much nonstop effort and stress that there's absolutely nothing left in the tank.
You grind your gears until they strip. You wear yourself out trying to be a perfectly optimized productivity machine every single second of the workday.
And then you wonder why your weekend feels gray, numb, and joyless.
And when you're living like that, your entire schedule is completely out of sync with your biology.
Right, when two things are out of sync, they are clashing. They aren't working in harmony. The gears are grinding.
The source explains that a lot of well-meaning people create these gorgeous, highly optimized daily schedules.
Oh, on paper it looks incredible.
Yeah.
7 a.m. run, 8 a.m. deep work, 12 p.m. language learning, 6 p.m. cooking a nutritious meal.
But it totally fails in reality because the schedule is out of sync with their actual human energy levels.
You're trying to force a tired, emotionally complex human being into a robotic industrial timeline.
And when you inevitably fail to stick to it, you blame yourself. You tell yourself you're just lazy.
But you weren't lazy. You're empty. Your ambition and your physiology are wildly out of sync.
Exactly.
So if energy is the real currency of our lives, not just the minutes ticking by on a clock, then how we choose to allocate that energy becomes the absolute most important decision we make every single day.
This requires a fundamental shift in how you view your day. You have to recognize that not every hour has the same value.
That's hard for people to accept.
It is, but you have a few peak hours where your brain is firing on all cylinders. We can call these your golden hours.
The hours where you're sharp, creative, and capable of handling complex problems without panicking.
Exactly that. And then, inevitably, you have hours where it feels like your brain arrived to work wearing comfortable slippers.
I know those hours well.
Right. The brain is sluggish, it's slow, and it really just wants to rest. The cardinal rule of managing your energy, according to the source, is that you must never, ever spend your sharpest golden hour on your weakest, most trivial task.
Which raises a really uncomfortable question. If we logically know this, if we know we only have a few golden hours a day, why do we constantly give them away?
It's a great question.
We spend our best, sharpest morning energy answering other people's random emails, doing tiny favors, giving polite yeses to meetings we definitely don't need to be in, and just engaging in general performative busyness. Why do we do this? Is it just an ego trip? Does it make us feel important?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, giving away those golden hours is very rarely about actual kindness.
Interesting.
And it's almost never about productivity. It is almost entirely driven by fear.
Fear. Walk us through that. What are we afraid of?
We fear missing out on opportunities. We fear disappointing a colleague or a boss. We fear that if we actually slow down and stop frantically moving, people will realize we aren't doing anything earth-shattering.
So we hide behind the busyness.
Exactly. Every time you say an unnecessary yes to a distraction during your golden hours, you're issuing a quiet, damaging no to your own peace, your own deep work, and your own priorities.
Setting boundaries around your time isn't being cold or mean. It's a necessary protective measure for your mental health.
Right.
And this is where people start trying to juggle too many things.
Another great word.
When you try to juggle, you're throwing a million different responsibilities into the air, desperately trying to catch them all before they hit the ground. It's a frantic, anxiety-inducing way to live.
Because you're clinging to that busyness.
Cling to.
Yes, to cling to something is to hold on to it incredibly tightly, often out of desperation. The source makes a profound observation that people cling to busyness because they are terrified of the silence that comes with slowing down.
Wow.
Busyness becomes a shield against having to actually sit with your own thoughts.
So the antidote to juggling and clinging is to actively reclaim your time. You don't just passively hope to get it back. You have to step in and reclaim your golden hours from the noise, taking back ownership of your best attention.
And here's a crucial point. Once you start reclaiming those golden hours, the immediate temptation is to fill them with more tasks.
Oh, absolutely. Great. I reclaimed an hour from useless meetings. Now I can write 3 more reports.
Right. But the source takes us in a completely different, much healthier direction. Reclaiming your time isn't about packing more productivity into the slot.
It's actually about slowing down so you can finally feel your life again.
Yes.
Speed steals detail. That is one of the most profound insights in the entire text. Speed steals detail, and detail is where life is actually felt.
Think about the neurology of rushing. When you are rushing, your brain switches to autopilot to conserve energy.
It literally stops recording long-term memories.
Exactly. That's why when you rush, breakfast is just tasteless background noise. A walk outside isn't a walk, it's just a panicked, breathless rush to a destination.
Even your time on the couch feels like a recovery task. You have to quickly cross off a list.
And you get to the end of the week, and the week has completely vanished from your memory. More importantly, the week was barely felt.
So what does this all mean for how we build our daily routines? Because the internet loves to sell us the fantasy of the perfect, highly optimized, frictionless life.
The goal of managing your time is not to become a flawless, hyper-efficient cyborg who wakes up with a glowing face at 5 a.m. to meditate on a mountain peak.
That is an exhausting fantasy.
It really is. The real test of a daily routine isn't whether it works on a perfect Sunday when you have no obligations. The real test is whether it actually works on an ordinary, messy, deeply tiring Tuesday.
A Tuesday where you spilled coffee on your shirt, your boss is in a bad mood, and you got a flat tire.
Exactly. True time management is not about becoming a robot who never fails. It's about becoming conscious. It's about building a life and a rhythm you can actually handle over the long term without your battery constantly hitting zero.
Which means you have to actively carve out time for the things that ground you.
Yeah.
You don't just sit around politely waiting for a pocket of free time to magically appear, because the modern world will never willingly give you free time. You have to take a knife and deliberately cart it out of your schedule.
You must intentionally create space for slowness, for a quiet walk without your phone, or for 10 minutes of just sitting on the porch watching the trees.
Because that is the only way to build a routine you can actually sustain.
To sustain something means you can keep it going consistently over a long period of time without breaking down.
The best routine in the world isn't the most impressive one you post about on social media to get likes. The best routine is the one that actually sustains your human energy.
Summarizing what we've discovered in today's session, true time management is really just becoming fiercely protective of your energy.
It is not about squeezing more activities into a 24-hour box. It's about losing less of yourself inside those 24 hours.
It's a complete paradigm shift, protecting your peace, guarding your attention from useless digital trash, and respecting your actual biological energy levels is infinitely more vital than having a beautifully color-coded daily planner. If you protect your energy, the time will take care of itself.
As we wrap up today's exploration, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, building on the paradox we started with. The next time you feel that familiar panic rising in your chest, that overwhelming feeling of having absolutely no time, what if you simply refuse to look at your calendar?
Just ignore it.
Don't look at the clock. Don't look at your schedule. Instead, look closely at what is quietly draining your battery. Are you carrying the heavy psychological weight of 5 tiny, unfinished tasks? Did you let your tired mind drift into a noisy, chaotic space last night instead of shutting down?
Those are the real culprits.
Imagine how your life might change if, instead of trying to move faster to catch up, you deliberately carved out just 10 minutes of absolute slowness today, completely out of sync with the rushing world. Thank you for joining us for this session on the English Boost podcast. Take back your golden hours, protect your energy, and we will catch you next time.